G'day family, how's everyone going? Well, today I've got something different for you. It's a bit of a cooking video. Not sure how long you've been with us for, but if you've seen our introduction video right at the very start, you would know that Kayla is a celiac. So she's allergic to gluten. Was diagnosed probably 6 years ago, I think, thereabouts. So we adapted our diets to really fit that lifestyle. I sort of put my hand up and said, let's predominantly buy and eat gluten-free. Now, I still eat food with gluten, as does our daughter Harper. We definitely wanted to introduce her to gluten early on, like any child would. We just predominantly in our cupboards, in our fridges, stock gluten-free. With that comes the tedious task of cooking gluten-free. I say tedious in quotations because it's not that hard. We, as human beings, predominantly eat gluten-free without even knowing it. So all of your natural foods, or organically grown or raised foods, are gluten-free. Vegetables, fruits, meats, gluten-free. It's generally your processed foods that have gluten in it. So your breads, your pastas, a lot of your sort of easy to eat processed foods, your takeaway foods, all have gluten or wheat based products in them. So we've adapted our diets to eat gluten-free. Along the way came some interesting tasks. Like, I love my bread, I love cooking, so bread's definitely been a hard one. It's something I still haven't mastered yet. There is a couple of easy to bake products out there, but a lot of the times you're sort of mixing up different flours, not wheat-based flours, so your rice flours, tapioca flours, potato starch, all of those alternative flours to try to get the right balance, to get the right bread. And it's super hard to get anything close to bread with gluten in it, because when you think of gluten, you think of, I like to explain it like you've got your house made out of bricks, and in between those bricks you have mortar, and that mortar is the gluten. That's what holds the house together. Same with bread. Gluten is what holds it together, makes it bouncy, makes it just structured. And unfortunately, when you go gluten-free, you don't get that. So we generally play around with some things, and one thing in particular that I've really come accustomed to and finally found a recipe about a year ago was gluten-free pizza bases. And I tell you what, we love them. Like, I will make a video of that particular pizza base, but something I sort of played around with recently. So looking at gluten-free and also trying to get vegetables into your kids, is a gluten-free vegetable pizza base. So today, that's what we'll be having a bit of a play with. So yeah, just hold on a sec and we'll go through that. Alright, so what you see in front of you is the simple ingredients for this pizza base. You've got onion powder, garlic powder, salt. So we do generally try and use sea salt, but for cooking I still use the sort of iodized or table salt. And also, when you're on a budget, sometimes it's cheaper to buy that. Your ground black pepper. We also have peppercorns that we use generally, but again, cooking it's so much easier. We've got 2 eggs, 4 potatoes. Now in this recipe today, I'm using frozen broccoli and cauliflower, which you can get cheap from any major supermarkets in packs, and obviously easy to store rather than getting all the time the fresh stuff. Obviously would love to get fresh broccoli and cauliflower, but it's not always cheap when you're on the road and you're trying to live to a budget. We also have your gluten-free flour. So it is quite expensive in terms of flours. Unfortunately, when you're living that gluten-free lifestyle, and not by choice, obviously, like I said, Kayla's a celiac, so this is definitely a not by choice option for us, but something we've adapted to. So yeah, enjoy. Cool, so there's a simple rundown of the ingredients I use in this recipe. I will now go through the method to how I make this pizza base, as well as I'll put a little bit of a picture up with all the itemized ingredients and the quantities. Okay, so first step, simple one, cut and peel the potatoes into small cubes before adding both the potatoes, the broccoli and the cauliflower all to a pot of water, bringing to the boil. Okay, so once you've cut up the potatoes, you can now add the potatoes, well, to a pot. I was doing that as I was cutting them up, which you should see in the little time lapse, hopefully. But we'll add the broccoli and cauliflower. So that was 4 potatoes, and then a real good measurement for us home cooks is a bowl of frozen broccoli and cauliflower florets. So we'll add that to the pot. Now to that we will add water. I'm going to add the good old trusty spring water. So on to the next step, which is putting this on the stove and boiling it. Of vegetables on the stove, and light that up and bring it to a boil. And while that's boiling, let's go have a look at the scenery. Okay, so now we've just finished boiling the potatoes and vegetable mix. We need to strain it. So I use, for this particular recipe, or this cooking method, I use the old flour sieve. I'll tell you why. One, I like to overboil my veggies. It makes it a lot easier to eventually push through this. So what we'll do now is we'll strain the vegetables, we'll add them to a bowl, and then put them in the fridge to cool down. And then once they've cooled down, we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so now I have grabbed the vegetables from the fridge, cooled down. It's time for the next step. Using the flour sieve, we will push that through until completely to all of the vegetables are completely pushed through, and then we'll start the next step. So the way I do it is just a little bit at a time. I'll just grab a spoon. So get a little bit in there, like so, and then yeah, just use whatever you've got to sort of push through. You can use the spoon itself, or you can use what I'm using, wooden spoon. But yeah, whatever you need to do to push through, like I said, you can use. Sometimes the spoon's a bit easy because you can really get in there and push it through. And because I've overcooked the vegetables, even all the stalks from the broccoli and the cauliflower should just push through nice and easily. Okay, so we're getting to the good part now, putting it all together. We've now pushed all of the vegetables through the flour sieve, so I'll just swing that around. So that's the sort of consistency you're after. It's a mashed potatoes with cauliflower and broccoli, really. Now we're going to start adding the ingredients. Alright, so the next step, we've got our spices, salt, pepper, garlic powder and onion powder. Add that. 1 generous cup of gluten-free flour. Add that. Now once we've added that, we'll give it a good mix and start mixing it. Get that done, and then you want to add your eggs. So 2 eggs now at room temperature. Warm temperature. I guess they are warm. There's 1. Try not to get any shell in there. And 2. Now obviously this is just for our family, and there's a bit of shell. Didn't really do a good job there, but I'll get that down. This is just for our family, so I will use my hands in a sec, because it's just so much easier to get through. Well, I did a really good job with that egg. There's a bit of shell everywhere here, and I think I got it all. So you can sort of mix it up again, start blending, mixing the egg into your mixture. Again, I'm not a chef by any means. It's just completely self-winging it. Okay, so it's at this stage, we've added the 1 cup of flour and all of our other ingredients. We will now add some shaved parmesan to our mixture. Now this is just eyeballing it, winging it. Add as little or as much as you want. I would say I would probably add almost half a cup of parmesan into it, maybe even close to a cup. But yeah, generally add as little or as much as you like. When you're actually making the gluten-free pizza dough, so just the stock standard gluten-free pizza dough, it's quite a unique recipe. It is quite a wet recipe. This is definitely wetter. So at the moment you can see it's sort of like a, I don't know, still a mash. Not quite as wet as it was if it was just on its own. But you can smell the aromas coming up, the garlic, the onion. It's such a nice, easy, and then obviously you got all the benefits of your cauliflower and broccoli. So we'll add maybe 1/4 cup. Just slowly mix that in again. You want to be able to ball it up, but again you don't want it to be too dry. So I probably went a little bit early with my hands before, because it's always fun getting it off your hands. Still quite sticky, so you end up getting, well, we're going to end up using this whole cup. Again, I should have probably not used such big potatoes, but that's part of winging it, right? So it's almost time to turn it out onto this clean bench that I have here. Almost. We're going to end up chucking all that in. We may even need to go another half cup, to be honest with you. We'll find out soon enough. So let's turn it down anyway. So what we'll do is we'll get a little bit of flour, chuck that on the bench. Just quickly. Gotta love working in the caravan, don't you? Don't have all the space of a big kitchen. Like you can see in our last house, we had a large kitchen, really large kitchen, farm kitchen. It was really good for cooking, especially when you're experimenting with the gluten-free stuff and things. Oh, I should just try and center that a bit more. And then we'll just get all the flour out of this bowl. Hello, monkey. Got an audience too. Looks like they're both in Harper's bunk at the moment. So get as much as that. So I've just added a generous hand of flour to this. So now we're just going to slowly start, I guess, combining it or kneading. I never remember the exact terminology. So yeah, we're just going to slowly start combining it all until we have our beautifully balled pizza dough. So I can still feel there's a lot of moisture in here. So even though it looks like it's quite a lot of flour, it's still quite a lot of moisture. So yeah, again, the 2 eggs and the larger potatoes have definitely thrown out my little recipe, that's for sure, but that's fine. Nothing we can't work with. Again, it's forgiving, and you will go through a little bit more flour and make a little bit more of a mess. That's what it's all about, right? So this will make between 4 and 6 pizza bases, and you can just literally just get rid of that. You can literally just put them into a ball, put them in a Ziploc bag or a little bit of Glad wrap, as we say in Australia here, and yeah, just chuck them in the fridge and it will last a while. Now, I've never frozen it before, so I wouldn't say, I'd say just be mindful if you want to experiment with that. If you are kind of looking at trying this out yourself, I'll put a little bit more, and I think we're almost done. All right, so little tip, working with gluten-free dough, or pizza dough in this case particularly, spray oil is your friend. It generally is a wet dough, and even when you've finished combining everything, getting to where you want, it's still very wet. So a little bit of a spray on the hands, even spraying the bowl, and that's where we're at now. So we've got our gluten-free, give that a little bit of a spray just so it doesn't stick, and you can see now, so we've got that already. Spray the bowl, that's already now to start really using. Anyway, what I like to do now while you're getting the oven, or in our case living on the road, your Ziggy up to temperature, is chuck that in a bowl and chuck it in the fridge. Bang, there it is. Oh, there it is. And now chuck that in the fridge. When it cools down, it's a lot easier to separate, and then we'll start rolling it out and making our pizzas. All right, I'll be back soon. All right, and now we have got the Ziggy getting up to temperature. I've now pulled the dough, pizza dough, out of the fridge. Give it a little spray, mere spray. So we want to obviously get it out of here now. There we go, so that comes out nice and easily. Hopefully that's on the camera. Still, I think so. Sure. So we are now going to start to, separate. I'm not going to separate all into bits right now. I'm just going to use what I need for this pizza, and all you do is you grab it and you twist a bit off the end. Plonk, done. And I'm going to put that back in the bowl, and I'll separate that after. So that's our little pizza ball, pizza base dough. Okay, so we've got our dough ball. Again, olive oil, don't be shy. I've sprayed the thing, and you kind of want to try and get it out as much as you can in your hand, because what you don't want is it really sticking to the pan. So you want to do a little bit, grab the pan, flip it over in your hand, a little bit more oil. I know it seems tedious, but this is the joys of being gluten-free. And once you sort of get to a stage like that, then you can start sort of like spreading it out, and you're kind of turning, pushing, turning, pushing. You don't want to press too hard because you don't want it to separate. Turning, pushing, and just keep going like this. Now you're probably thinking it's sticking to the bottom of the pan, the pizza pan. It is, but once you've got enough of a spread, it's not so bad, because you sort of, it takes about 10 minutes to cook, but you are watching it quite regularly. So we do. All right, so when you get it to where you want it to get it to, you can then start prepping your pizza. Again, don't be too discouraged about how wet this base is. It'll be fine. So I would love to make my own pizza sauce, but again, on the road, budget, we cheat. So we buy, put a little bit of barbecue sauce on there for sweetness, like so, and then a little bit of the old tomato sauce, or the old dead horse, and that's all gluten-free. Okay, as for toppings, got a little bit basic today. onion, mushroom, tomato, bacon, and the good old cheese. So that's that there. That's pretty much done now. So now we need to take it out to the Ziggy. That should be warmed up enough, and then it's literally a 10-minute cook. It's honestly not that long. All right, I'll bring you back in a sec. All right, so I thought I'd set the old Ziggy up with this lovely view in the background. How stunning is that? Absolutely stunning. We actually will be just down there. I don't know if you can see in the distance, there's a jetty. We'll be staying there in a couple of days, which is a caravan park we only stayed in about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. But while we wait for some electrical work to be done on the van. But yeah, so now we've got the Ziggy up to temperature. We've got it all the way up. Open that nice and clean. I may or may not have just cleaned that really quickly for this purpose. Chuck that in. You got that, and then yeah, close it up. And then what I like to do every sort of couple of minutes, and just bring that back around in a sec. There we go. What I like to do is just get a egg slide and some tongs and just sort of loosen it up the bottom. As I said, when you're pressing it down and pushing it out to the edges, it may have stuck a little bit. So yeah, just you don't want it to stick too much, otherwise it will burn. So yeah, just sort of keep an eye on it and see how we go, but I'll bring you back at the end product. Alright, so GoPro went flat, so I've had to resort to the old dog and bone. Let's have a look at how this pizza's gone. It's been about 11 minutes, and I have to say this view so hasn't got any it's just so, yeah, so nice, and believe it or not, not too. So let's have a look at this pizza. So I've been coming out, I've been turning it, making sure it's not sticking to the bottom. So let's down. Oh, the sun. Yeah, nice. Look at the bottom, how we like it. Again, sorry about the camera work, people. One-handed trying to spin this around. Spin this around, check it over here. Yep, and that's good to go. So now it's yeah, time to dig in. Right before Harper will be going to bed, but one last little look, and then we'll head in and yeah, cut into it. Alright, and there you have it. Gluten-free pizza, vegetable base. You honestly cooked. Look at the bottom of it. So again, it's not like a traditional pizza base. It never is going to be. With the can you hear that crunch though? Did I bring that in? Yeah. Don't mind the mess in the sink. You're never going to get it like a true pizza. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's just flour, gluten-free flour, egg, and vegetables. But still, the crunch, the flavors. You think it'd be soggy in the middle, but it's not. I've got to burn my fingers, but just, yeah, just want to spin that around. Yeah, look at that. So yum. So yeah. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed something a little bit different with a video, a little bit of a gluten-free cooking video. See how we go with the editing. Hopefully it's pretty clear. If anyone is wanting to try it for themselves, reach out. I will do another pizza dough recipe soon, and that's for just a traditional one. It's quite an interesting way to do it. Alright guys, gotta go tell Lola to settle down. There's like someone else just pulled into the camp area, but yeah, cool. Alright guys, have a good one, and we'll see you in the next video.